Brickner with the Crafty Brick, and it's Tuesday, which means it's Crafty Tuesday, which means I'm going live and sharing a craft with you that I have not done. Sometimes the crafts go perfectly, sometimes not so great. The good thing about tonight is I've got help. Help has come or is coming to assist with this project tonight and answer some questions that you might have. Tonight we are doing screen printing with Jen, who is with Pigskin and Pigtails, which is who I learned all of my screen printing skills from, which don't say that because my screen printing skills are not great, so I just don't work with them that much. But she did teach me how to do it. I did take her class and I do know the basics of doing it. But as a crafter, I'm doing lots of crafts and I'm running my business and I just don't have time to focus on all the crafts to perfect them. So that's where I am right now. I like to screen print. I don't have a lot of time to do it. So I would say I'm still a screen printing novice. So Jen is gonna jump on here and help us. So hello everyone. I am so glad you are joining us tonight. Anybody new here to Crafty Tuesday, and where are you guys joining from? I'm a hot mess. I'm like all out of breath because I was trying to gather everything pretty much all day. I've been gathering stuff and making sure I've got all my stuff ready here to go. And then I realized I didn't have any painter's tape. And that is like a really important part of screen printing. And I was like, I can't find it anywhere. So I ran to my neighbor's house and asked them if they had some painter's tape for me. And they did. So crisis averted. Crisis always get averted around here. But I seriously got back at 5:30, so I'm here. Hi, Rachel70. I'm excited that you joined tonight. And hey, Oklahoma. Ooh, St. Louis. I'm from St. Louis. I don't know if you knew that, but I am. New from Alabama, new from DC. I'm so excited you guys are stopping by tonight. Hello from Miami. What a fun group of people tonight, all over the place. So let's see. North Carolina, Cali. So exciting. I don't know if Jen is on here yet. Let me see. I don't see her on here. She is going to come on. I don't know exactly what time. So maybe what I will do is get started without her. I don't know if that's a good idea or not, but I'm so excited. I'm excited to try this out today. But what I do have, you newbies don't know that I have a problem with choosing to wear white on the days that I do Crafty Tuesday, and they're messy, and I've ruined more than one shirt on here. So last week I made an apron. I did a little sublimation and made an apron so that I can stop getting my clothes ruined on Crafty Tuesday. So I've got my apron tonight because I'm actually doing yellow screen printing ink. So I did not want to get white. I mean, I should stop wearing white, but here we are again. I don't know why I choose it every time. I guess I like ruining clothes. I don't know. Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Philly, ooh, East Coast. I'm going to the East Coast this weekend. I've never been to the East Coast, but I'm taking my son to school, to college this weekend, and he's going to be in New York, so I'm going to the East Coast for the first time. I do need crafty grubbies, but crafty grubbies aren't cute. I like to wear, see, I got all my workout pants and my matching sports bra. I like all my matching stuff. But you're right, I should be wearing crafty grubbies when I'm doing messy crafty stuff. Maybe I should do it. Maybe I'll invest in some crafty grubbies that I'll just wear for Crafty Tuesday, but they're cute too. I know I got problems. Oh, New Jersey too. Hey. All right. Let me see what I have here. Let me double check that I don't remember how. Oh, I have no requests. Okay, so if Jen jumps on here, she will request to join us. So she's going to be your Q&A person because I'm I'm a novice with screen printing, so I don't think I want to answer all your questions. I know some general knowledge about screen printing, but not extensive knowledge. One thing I do know that I messed up on already, I was just printing out my designs last night, so I just wanted to be prepared and have everything ready to go. And I printed the designs incorrectly already. So when you are printing for screen printing, you have to print on your vinyl and mirror it. I did not mirror. So that was where I started off wrong. But I corrected. I did notice it after I did it. Oh, Jen has joined. Let me invite her on here. Shoot, I don't know how to invite. Oh, maybe here. Oh, invite to join. Okay. I'm in here. I'm so excited. You don't know how excited I am that she said yes, she would come and help us tonight. Let's see. I invited. I hope that it works. See if you got that invitation, Jen. You did! Hey!
Sorry, it took me a minute to get on here.
How are you?
Good.
Yay! I'm so happy you joined us tonight. I was just telling them that I am a novice with screen printing, and I told them I learned everything that I know from you, but I don't want to like mess it up because I'm not that good. So I did learn from you, but I just
We're
don't
gonna
have
do
a lot
this
of time to
together.
practice. I know.
Yeah, that's the key, is like just doing it a few times to get the hang of it.
Right. So I was telling them I already started out incorrectly because I wanted to be prepared tonight, and I printed out my designs and I didn't mirror them. So I had to like reprint it, but I am good now. So I've got my Oracal 651 and
Okay.
I have my design cut. So how about we just start with that? Tonight I'm printing on a blue shirt, and I've got some of the yellow Speedball paint.
Okay.
Hopefully that's going to be good. I know you said that it's hard sometimes working with like dark colors and white. So I tried to steer clear of that. Are there any issues with working with any other colors?
Sometimes yellows, and anytime you print on a dark fabric, it's a little bit harder because with water-based ink soaks into the fabric and basically dyes the fabric. So kind of, you're familiar with sublimation, kind of the same process. Like if you tried to sublimate on a darker color shirt, it works, it just doesn't cover, right? With screen printing ink, it's definitely going to cover better than sublimation. But if you're expecting like a super bright white when you print on black, like it's not going to come out super bright unless you have a little bit more on the equipment side where you can do a couple different techniques where you dry it between coats and that sort of thing. So as a beginner, I always tell people start with a dark ink on a lighter shirt just because you have better results. But this is going to work. Like we'll be good. It's just,
well, I have black ink also. Should I choose black instead?
Hold the black up to your blue shirt. Let's see if it's, and the yellow will work. It's just that if you're wanting it to be like a super bright yellow after you wash it, it may, or after you heat press it, it may, like, you may see a little blue through there, but
you know, I think it's going to be fine. This is for my neighbors. It's for their first day of school, and the yellow and blue are their school colors. So
let's do it.
Let's do it and see how it works.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I forget. So I'm going to be weeding the inside part, right?
Yes. So weed out where you want the ink to go through. So it's going to be the opposite of like how you normally would weed this kind of vinyl.
Okay. That's what I thought. And I picked a pretty basic, oh shoot, and I left my little O there, of course.
I do that all the time.
All the time.
So everyone that's joining, welcome. And if you have questions, I'm going to try to watch for questions as you're working. So.
Oh, perfect.
I'll holler at you if they're asking questions.
Well, you should answer because I bet your answer is going to be better than mine.
You're going to be an expert by the end of this.
I am. I mean, it's so perfect because obviously, you know, everything does not work with sublimation. I do love sublimation, but you can't do it with everything.
Yep. You just kind of
So
have to know
having
which
another
process to
method.
use for which project is important.
Let's see. So we're gonna weed out the outside of my letters. And here I am.
Okay, someone asked if it's easy. Someone asked if it's easy to screen print. We're gonna see because we're doing this live, and we're gonna see what you think. So you can answer that one after we get done.
We're gonna see. We're gonna hold out on that answer. I think it is. I mean, I have done it before, and it is easy. It is easy. It's like any craft. It takes time and it takes practice.
Yep.
So everything's easy once you get the hang of it, and it's all hard when you start.
Yep, exactly. Okay, someone said, as a newbie, did you buy a starter set?
Oh, good question. I did buy a starter set, and I actually bought Jen's set. It is the coolest thing because she's got a screen printing kit, and it's on Amazon, and it's also on, oh my gosh, did I weed out the wrong thing? Wait. I think that's right.
Yeah.
So I need to weed out the middle. Okay.
Is it it's reversed, right?
Oh my gosh. It's reversed, yeah.
Okay. It just doesn't look like it on the camera, so that everybody that's watching, like, know that the design is actually flipped.
The design is flipped. I can't flip my camera. Normally, when I go live, I put it in reverse so everything shows up correctly. But I'm trying to think, should I weed out the middle? Did I make a mistake on the sunglasses?
On the actual print, the sunglasses are going to be yellow, right? And then
the sunglasses are yellow. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And then the words, like the first and grade, are going to be the blue of the shirt. So yeah, you did it right.
Yes. Okay. So I'm right. Okay. So yes, I got Jen's screen printing starter kit. You can get it on Amazon. You can also get it at Michael's, and it came with the screen. It came with the squeegee. It comes with transfer tape, and it also comes with vinyl. And did it come with some ink to start?
Yeah, it comes with the black ink.
It did. Okay, so yes, it came with all of that. So it was perfect. Okay, so I've got this all weeded.
Okay, someone's asking what vinyl you're using. You're using Oracle 651, right?
Yes, I am.
Perfect. And you could use other kinds. That's what I've found is like the tried and true vinyl to use. I'm sure others work. It's just that one sticks really well. And so once you get it on the screen, I've used that same piece of vinyl and screen to make over 200 tote bags at one time. So I know vinyl is going to stick really good to the screen. So that's why I always tell people that's a good one. And that's what comes in the kit too. So.
Okay. Good to know.
Okay. Someone asked, is it a normal frame or a special frame? It's a screen printing frame. You'll see in just a minute when you hold it up.
I've lost my middle of this S. So I'm just taking, the only reason I'm doing this from this other one is because I had already cut out things that I messed up on. So I'm just going to use it on here since I have it left over. Since I have the middles left over in here, that's why you're seeing me use a second thing. You don't need that, obviously.
This is real life, right? Like we have to find
the little tiny
pieces that we missed. Yep. I was just doing a shirt yesterday and I missed like a little letter, like the inside of an O, and I'm like cutting it with an X-Acto, trying to not have to cut the whole thing again on the Cricut.
Exactly. I have definitely been there for sure. I'm like, this is a simple design. I can cut out this little middle. I can do that. Okay, so I have my design here. Oh, let me take this eye out, the little dot. The dots of the eye that never want to act right. So then I'm going to put my transfer tape on, right?
Yep.
Okay. So
that's the
as far as
tape that comes in the kit. Yeah.
I'm using the one that came in the kit. I didn't have enough, so I cut it. So I'm going to be piecing it together. But
that works.
It works. As far as transfer tape goes, do you recommend using a special transfer tape or does it matter?
So the transfer tape is probably like the biggest factor in this all working. So if you're trying to use a tape that is too sticky, you're going to get super frustrated when you try to take the back, or when you try to take the tape off of the screen, your vinyl is going to come up and it's going to mess up your letters. And so like that is the big key to this working. So yeah, the tape that's in the kit, or I sell the rolls of transfer tape that I use on my website, and it's like just enough tack to hold on to your design, but it comes off really easily. And I think you'll see that in the next step too.
Okay. Good. So then I've got my screen.
Someone was asking if it's mirrored. Yes, it's hard to tell because the camera's flipped, but it is mirrored.
It is mirrored. Sorry about that.
Yep. No, it's part of the live thing, right?
So I'm not putting it on the front of my screen. I'm flipping it over to the back.
Yep.
Correct? Okay. And then I'm going to, what am I doing? Do I take the tape off first?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Take the backing. Yep.
Take the backing off first. Okay.
Yep.
All right, well, let me move my screen over. Make sure all these middles stay where they're supposed to stay.
Yep. Did you rub it really good before you flipped it? Like with you could use the squeegee that came with the kit? Okay.
I didn't use the squeegee. Oh, is that what you use normally, the squeegee that comes with it?
You
Okay.
can, or anything, a credit card, whatever. You just want it to be stuck on there really good. And it looks like it is.
It is coming off. Did you know, I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but I have some vinyl that I have not used for a while, and I went to use it the other day, and the backing was like stuck to the vinyl, and I feel like maybe that the vinyl is like heat sensitive, like the hot and cold temperatures. Have you ever had that problem?
I haven't. I wonder.
It was so weird. I had like multiple rolls of vinyl that the backing was sticking to the vinyl, and I'd never had that. And I'm like, maybe it's because I haven't used it in so long, and our air conditioning was out. I'm like, it's been hot and cold and hot and cold. I don't know.
I could imagine maybe the heat would do it, but that is interesting.
It was interesting and frustrating. I'm going to go with that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So the other thing I was going to ask you, I realized I had two designs that I wanted to do today, but I only have one screen. And I wanted to know, is it possible to put, if they both fit on the screen, can I put them both on here or no?
So
and do two different shirts?
Only if you have enough room above each design, because like you really want to be able to have room to put like a bead of ink and then be able to pull the ink down. So you don't want your design like super close to the edge of the screen.
Okay.
So what would be even better is to do it right in the middle of your screen, and then after we finish, like take off that vinyl, wash it, and just put it by a fan, and your screen will be dry in just a few minutes. So and then you can reuse it.
Oh, that quick?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you have a fan, that will help speed it up. But yeah, you can reuse it pretty quickly.
Oh, good to know. Okay, so then I'm going to go ahead and stick this on.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Let's go ahead and stick this on.
Good. And then like flip the screen over and do that from the other side.
Okay.
Yeah, and that'll help you get
that's
like
better.
any bubbles out.
Okay. Oh, I'm so excited. Okay. Then we're going to take our transfer tape off.
Yep.
Okay. Got it.
And like almost peel it back on itself, like really
very
flat.
Angled. Okay.
Yes.
Make sure those middles stay in there.
And another trick and I should have told you this before we started, is you want to make sure your screen is really tight. The mesh of your screen is really tight, and it will make it so much easier to pull the vinyl off. Like as you're pushing down, I can kind of see the screen move down a little bit.
Yeah.
So something that will help is if you tighten your screen before you do your transfer, it will make it a lot easier.
How do you tighten your screen?
So you can use, they make like a screen rolling tool like you would use for installing screen, or you could use like a flathead screwdriver, and you just want to, if you mash the cording back down, it will tighten it up a good bit.
Okay.
And that's all you have to do is like just mash that cording back in and it will tighten it for you.
Okay.
And between that and using the right transfer tape, your tape should come off pretty easily without having to struggle too much.
Okay.
And just try like different angles. Sometimes depending on like what letters you have and stuff, it's easier to go a different direction.
Okay.
Let me answer some questions while you're doing that. Someone says they have a wood sign business. Can you screen print on wood? You absolutely can. I would definitely recommend starting with fabric though. It's a little more forgiving, and then work your way up to projects like wood. But I do have some tutorials on that on my blog. Let's see.
Oh, come on. Okay, it's coming. It's coming. I have a lot of these like thin piece. I tried to pick a really good font because, you know, all fonts are not awesome to work with. So I tried to pick a wide one that didn't have super thin letters, but these middles are kind of thin, so they want to come off.
Just take your time. And like I said, I think tightening your screen will make it so much easier for next one.
Okay.
So someone asked, have you tried using clear permanent vinyl? I have. So it's really tricky because you can't see the vinyl very well. So, I thought it would be easier to like line up on the shirt. You can't see the design in the clear vinyl, so it doesn't really help any.
You're like, no, I have used it. I don't recommend it.
I totally thought I was onto like a genius idea. Like I'll use clear vinyl and then you'll be able to like line it up easily. You can't really see the design, so it doesn't help. Okay, we've got lots of questions and I think I'm like missing a whole bunch here, but
let's see. Okay, so now that I've got it all, and I know I want to make sure that there aren't any air bubbles, do I push from the back here, or should I flip it around to the front and squeegee again?
Flip to the front. Yeah.
Okay.
And then just
you want to make sure that it's really
push it good. Yeah.
Because this is a really important part, right? To make sure that there's no parts that are coming up from the screen.
Yeah.
So
it should just be completely flat. Yeah. If you have any little bubbles or like folds in your vinyl, that's where sometimes ink will seep under.
Okay.
It looks like it's on there nice and smooth. It's hard to tell.
I think we're looking pretty good. I think we are. Okay. Inside, we need to put some shirt, like blow-out paper on the inside of your shirt.
Yeah. So I use parchment paper, but use whatever, like anything that's flat. You just don't want to use cardboard or anything that has ridges because that will mess up your print. So that's
just a piece of butcher paper?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, before you do that though, do you have any painter's tape?
I do, yes.
Okay,
you know, it's so funny. I was like gathering all my supplies like just to get ready to go live. And I'm like, okay, oh my gosh, I don't have painter's tape. And I'm like, I'm looking around the house, scouring the house for my painter's tape, and I can't find it. So I ran to my neighbor's house. So I'm like, I know they have some. Ran to the neighbors, got back here at like 5:30. And I'm like, oh my gosh. But this is like super important, right?
So yeah, what you want to do now is you want to tape around the vinyl. So you'll see you have a whole bunch of open screen there. And if you were to screen print right now, the ink would go in those open areas and get on like all over your shirt in spots you don't want. So you want to use the tape to basically block out the rest of the screen that your vinyl doesn't cover around the edges.
Are you painting on or taping on the back or on the front?
Tape on the back. And the reason why I put everything on the back is so that when you squeegee over, your squeegee is like not coming in contact with anything. It's going to like glide over really smoothly.
Okay.
And that definitely helps.
I'm giving myself 2 lines of tape because I'm a little messy.
Go for it. Yeah. When I started, I would tape the entire screen off. But
you did?
As I've done it more, I have learned to be more careful. And so my tape lines get smaller and smaller.
I'm going to go up a little bit more since you said that.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Okay, some people are asking about ink. So someone asked
I'm
about
using the
cracking.
you always use Speedball, right?
Yeah, so there with Speedball ink, I love Speedball. It's water-based ink. It works great. It's really, you can get it almost anywhere, craft stores, Amazon. If you are having issues with your ink cracking, this usually happens with white ink. And for white ink, I do have another brand of ink that I use. It's called Comet White. And if you click on my link or go to pigskinsandpigtails.com, I have a link to it, and actually have a discount code too, that you can get that white ink. And that's what I use for white if I don't want it to crack.
Okay.
Now the Speedball ink, I use the white when I want a different look. Like I just did one where I used their opaque white, and I used like one coat of it, and it looks kind of vintage looking and like really kind of see-through white, but it's got a really cool look to it too. So different types of ink for different types of looks that you're going for.
When you say cracking with the white, do you mean like over time, like when you wear it, it starts to crack?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, usually when you wash and dry it, you'll notice it starts to look kind of vintage, which I have shirts that I did that intentionally because I wanted it to look like that old favorite t-shirt, that you've worn and it cracks. So if that's the look you're going for, the ink works perfect. Just white ink is super tricky. Just think about how white has to cover. Like your printer can't print white ink on anything. So white ink is just that oddball that is harder to use.
It's harder to use for everything.
Yeah. But there are different techniques that you can get all different kinds of looks. So it's pretty cool.
It is. I mean, seriously, I'm the screen printing, I do sublimation, and now I've gotten into the super color, and I see that you've used that as well. I really like that too. It's just like you need different things for different projects.
Exactly. Yep. It really just depends on like what you're doing. Are you making one? Are you making a whole bunch of them? Are you, screen printing definitely wins in the category of like being economical when you need to make a whole bunch of the same thing. But like super color is great when you don't want to make a mess and you just want to get some shirts done quickly. Like it's definitely good to know all the processes.
Right. And the super color was nice too, because screen printing, I know you do multiple colors, but as a beginner, isn't it a little bit challenging to do multiple colors on one shirt?
There are some there's some definitely a little bit of a learning curve to learning multiple colors. I think if you're doing, 2 to 3 colors, it's very practical with screen printing. But if you get into like a full color, gradients or shades or that, that's where I would definitely order super color and try to save yourself the headache of trying to line up that many screens. And
right. I've like loving super colors recently. I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is so awesome. Okay, so now we've got it all taped off. I just happened to glance and somebody said, do you have to mirror it? Yes, it is mirrored. You can't see that it is, but it is. So I guess now you can see that it's backwards, what we're printing on. So it is mirrored, taped to the back.
Yeah, it's confusing on the camera, but everybody know that it's what we're looking at right now is actually looks correct for you.
Yes, it is correct here. Okay, so now I'm going to put my shirt down and put my paper inside my shirt, correct?
Yep.
Okay. Oh, this is going to be so awesome. My neighbors don't know I'm making this for them, but they're little guys, and my daughter, like I've been making all these things, and my daughter's over like all the things I make. And I'm like, I need somebody to make stuff for.
That's awesome. Is this the same neighbor that you borrowed the tape from?
Actually 2 doors down, but I made them something as well. I made her daughter like a lunchbox and a backpack. All right. So how do you measure? I didn't even like try to measure on the screen. Do you normally put it on the screen in a certain spot?
So there are several tricks that I use. I've got a few on my blog where I talk about different processes to line it up straight, but I think for what you're doing, are you doing more than one of these shirts or just one?
I'm just going to do one. I'm just going to do one right now. Yeah.
So since you're just doing one and you can see through right now to see like the shirt and you can move the screen around, like it's fine just to eyeball it.
Okay.
So if you were going to do a whole bunch of them and like you were going to take that same screen and put it on the next shirt and do, 50 of these shirts, it would be helpful to have some guide marks so that you don't have to like guess on every shirt. So that gets a little bit more, detailed on how you set it up. And I've got some tutorials we can send people to for that. But when you're just getting started and you're learning, like this is a great way to get started. Just eyeball your first one. And then if you love it, you want to do more, then research lining it up a little bit more carefully. But since you're only doing one and you can see through the screen right now, you can kind of make a pretty good guess on where to put it. And you don't have ink on it yet, so you can move it around.
Right. So I've got a whole list of information for people afterwards, and I've got links to your class. So I don't know, maybe if you send me a couple of the links you're talking about that would be really helpful for people, I'll include those in there and send them your way, so people can have all this information that they need after here.
So my class, actually my beginner's class, has a step-by-step on what I call my dot trick, which helps you line up the screen. So that would be perfect if someone wants to see like a full
that was
lesson
where you got dots on the screen, right?
I just do one and I line it up with the collar. So that I explain, I know it sounds really crazy. I don't want to intimidate people that have never done this before because I have all these crazy hacks that I've learned over the years that make it a little bit easier. But we want to show people right now that like you can just set it on the shirt and go for it. Like it don't have to overcomplicate it for sure on your first go round.
Okay.
So eyeball it to the spot. And now there is another trick I can tell you about where to place it on the shirt. So just a general rule of thumb, I go 3 finger widths down from the bottom of the collar.
Okay.
So, and that can vary depending on your design too. Yours looks, maybe like a little bit shorter than it is wide. So sometimes you may think maybe it's 4 finger widths depending on the size of your shirt, but but you can also kind of eyeball it from there and just see, is that where you want it on the shirt? And it looks pretty good.
I think we're good.
Okay.
Next up, got my little knife here, and I've got my yellow Speedball ink that has not even been opened yet. Let's see if I can open it. Oh, there we go. Okay. Oh, this is going to be so pretty. I don't think it'll be a problem if it's not super vibrant. I think it'll be totally fine.
Yeah, I think so too.
I did bring a rag that's wet because I knew I was going to get stuff in places.
Yep.
And I brought a little cup of water also, just in case I needed to dab it in and move ink from somewhere. Okay.
That's smart.
So I've got my Speedball ink here, and I've also got a knife to put it on. So I'm just going to dab a little bit across the top, right?
Yep. Right on that tape that you put, like kind of at the top of the design. Yep. And feel free to use like a pretty generous amount. You can like scoop up the extra at the end and save it. So it's always better to have enough ink to work with when you get started.
Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay. Does that look like a good amount, or should I put a little more?
That looks good.
Okay.
That looks good.
Okay. Here we go. So
okay, now a couple tips. Yeah, let me give you a couple tips on holding the squeegee. So when you're holding the squeegee, I should have had one on handy and I don't. But you want to keep so the key to getting a good print is to get even pressure on your squeegee as you're pulling that ink down. So imagine if you pulled the ink down and you put all the pressure in the middle of the screen, the middle of the screen is going to get a really good print and your outsides aren't going to get enough ink.
Okay.
So when you put the pressure on, you want to make sure it's even. So a couple things. So since you have to use one hand probably to hold the screen down, I usually take my fingers and try and make them as wide as I can on that squeegee as I'm pressing to make it like to be able to push on the edge at the same time.
Oh, okay.
That makes sense.
That makes sense.
If you love this process, upgrading to like different squeegees make it like a little easier depending on how big your hands are. You might just find a squeegee that fits you well that makes that easier. So everybody kind of has their own preference on what squeegee they like. But this is a good way to get started because it's going to work and it'll be fine. But when you get into like fine tuning details, if you get really picky about projects turning out just perfect, then try different squeegees. So
and really,
if you're going to
upgrade, you kind of want a screen that attaches so you don't have to hold it with your hand.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's all sorts of things you can upgrade. Of course, if you become obsessed like me and it starts to take over your craft room. But this is, you can totally, like, if you're only going to do this every once in a while, this is great because you don't have a whole lot of equipment to store and stuff. So
this is it. It's perfect. So
yeah,
but I can do screen printing when I want to. So
yep.
Yeah. Okay. I'm like stalling because I'm a little nervous, but
this is the fun part. Okay.
This is the fun part.
Keep your fingers spread apart so you get even pressure.
Okay, I'm holding with my left hand up here up top so the screen doesn't move.
Yep.
And then I've got my hands wide apart here. All right.
Just go for it.
Gosh. Here we go. And wait, an angle. You want it at an angle a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Or does it matter?
And you wanted it a little bit of an angle. And imagine that you're basically taking this ink and you're trying to scrape it off the screen. Like you want enough pressure that it's going to be like a super thin coat of ink. If you go real delicate over, it's not going to push the ink through the screen.
Okay.
So just try to like wipe that ink away almost.
All the way down. Okay.
Yeah.
Here we go. Wide hands. Here we go. We're pressing. And we're going to go again.
Yeah, press pretty hard to where you can almost see the design that you're printing. Like it should almost clear out where you can see it.
I do see it for sure.
And if you need to like put pressure on one side or the other just to make sure that both sides have ink on it.
Okay.
And that's probably good. You don't want to go over it too many times because then the ink will start to bleed under there. But if you feel like you can see the design through and you think you got even pressure on both sides, then you're good. Okay.
The only thing is that like I definitely see it through there, but I feel like there's more ink on the sides there than in the middle.
Yeah, so that's probably because you're getting more pressure along the middle. So what you might try to do is squeegee one time where you just put all your pressure on the right-hand side of it. Okay. And then do the same thing on the left. And this is where sometimes people will pull it up and notice that it's bled a little bit. And this is where the bleeding happens, like when you didn't get even along the whole way. So again, that comes with just practicing the squeegee and getting good at even pressure on every stroke so that you don't have to kind of go back and forth.
Okay. Good, good, good. So now comes the reveal.
Now's the big reveal.
Okay. I think it worked. Let's
yay.
Look, going to first grade is so cool.
Perfect.
Yay. So I totally see what you're saying about doing the yellow because you can see a little bit of the blue through it, but it still is good.
Yeah, I think the vintage look is so popular right now that a lot of people try to get that look. I mean, a lot of shirts you buy in the store now look a little more vintage. So just sell it that way and you're good.
Yay! I meant to do it just like that.
Yeah. No, but
this
the
is
trick
cool.
is like, to really get a good solid yellow, that screen printing press would really help.
Okay.
And because what you can do with the screen printing press is you can lift up the screen. Oh, perfect. You can lift up the screen and check your ink or even dry your ink, and then you put the screen back down and it comes down in the exact same spot. So like if you were to try to take that screen and put it back on your shirt, you would never get it lined up right I mean, I've tried. It's impossible.
Yeah, you're like, don't even do it. Yeah.
Don't
It's
even
kind of
try
like
it. Wasted.
screen printing when you're trying, not screen printing, sublimation, when you try to put it back down, it's like, that's not a good idea.
Don't do it. Yeah.
Oh, I'm so excited. Okay, so I've seen you use your heat gun. Why do you do that sometimes instead of using before you put it under the press?
So, okay, with this ink, there are kind of two steps. First, the ink needs to dry completely, and then it needs to be heated to a certain temperature to cure. So the ink, it doesn't become completely permanent and washable until it has been heat cured. But it does have to be dry first. And so it may feel dry to the touch. Like if you left it out for an hour or so, you might feel it and be like, oh, it's dry. But water-based ink, all the water actually has to evaporate out of the ink before you can properly cure it. So I use the heat gun to speed that up. If you don't want, if you're not in a rush, I'm always in a rush to finish a project, but if you're that one person that's not in a rush, then you could just leave it out for a couple days. If you have a fan, I put a fan on it, and then like maybe I would speed it up and say I could only, leave it out overnight with a fan blowing on it. But you really want the ink to be completely dry and dry to the so much so that all the water is evaporated out. So you can't really see that or feel that. And then you heat press it. And heat pressing it will make it completely permanent. It should not fade in the wash. So if you've washed a shirt and you notice like the design faded out, that means either you didn't dry it long enough or you didn't heat it long enough. So those are the two factors. But if you do both of those steps, then it should last wash after wash without fading.
Okay. So really the heat gun I don't have to do.
You don't.
That's just if I'm in a
you
rush.
could leave this out. Yeah, leave the shirt out, let it dry overnight. If tomorrow you want to like give it to your neighbor, then maybe use the heat gun for a little bit and then heat press it, and you should be good to go.
How long if I use the heat gun, can I press it tonight or not? I should wait till tomorrow to press it?
I totally have, but yeah, I mean, that's where you just gotta have to experiment, right? Like you could heat gun it right now and then press it, and it will probably do pretty well. There's a chance it could start to fade because maybe you didn't heat it long enough, but if you aren't giving it to them till tomorrow, I would let it air dry overnight and then I always heat press it like at the last minute, right before I'm going to give it to somebody. And then that way, you've given it the longest amount of time.
And when you heat press, do you cover it with like Teflon or parchment paper, or do you need nothing?
So you don't need anything if your ink is completely dry, with the exception of like white ink and maybe yellow. Sometimes it has a little bit more of a feel to it, again, because it's trying to cover a dark color. So it doesn't hurt to use one, but you don't. Technically, with screen printing ink, once it's dry, it's not going to transfer to your iron like HTV would. So you don't have to do it, but it definitely doesn't hurt to put a sheet in there. Okay. And I've also pressed it where the ink was still wet and it gets on your heat press and you can still clean it off. Like there's no disaster to it.
You're like, it's good. I've done it all. I've messed up and done all the mistakes.
Yeah, I have. So,
oh my gosh.
If you run into a mistake, I've probably done it and can tell you how I fixed it. So,
let's see. Screen printing for shirts better than vinyl shirts. Screen printing lasts way longer than vinyl, right?
I think so. That's why I switched from making vinyl shirts to screen printing. Even if I'm doing one shirt like you're doing, I will screen print it just because, one, I like the way it feels. Like it's, with water-based ink, when you're using the darker colors, it soaks into your shirt. And so you really cannot even feel the design there. But the other reason is it does hold up really well in the wash. So I had vinyl shirts eventually that kind of cracked or peeled. And if I'm going to sell it to someone or even give it away, I don't want to give them a shirt that like is only good for a handful of washes. So yeah.
I actually had a client order some shirts the other day, and they didn't want the poly shirt, so I couldn't sublimate on them. But so I was doing vinyl, and I'm like, okay, I'll sell vinyl shirts sometimes, but I try to steer clear of vinyl all the time now. But as I was making, I'd already cut the vinyl and everything. And as I was making it, I noticed that the shirt was 65 poly. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can sublimate this. So I like threw away the vinyl and I did sublimation because it was a colored shirt, but I was doing black anyway. So it worked out perfectly. And I'm like, I always choose something other over vinyl. Just, I don't know. I just like the feel of it better. So screen printing, I really like that. So we did a shirt. Jen walked us through how to do the shirts. I'm so excited. That's awesome.
Yeah. So the good part about screen printing is now that you had all that set up, if you wanted to make 50 of these same exact shirts, you could take that screen and just put it on your next shirt. And I would definitely say you want to work kind of quickly. The ink can dry in your screen. So like we've talked a little bit. If you waited another few minutes and then went to make it, you may notice like some of the ink dried in the screen. So you want to work a little quickly if you're going to reuse it. But that's the cool part, is that you weeded the design one time and now you could make, 50 of these if you wanted to. Right. So that's where it comes in really handy. Yeah.
And you don't have to weed. I mean, if you're making a vinyl shirt and you're making 50 shirts, that's a lot of weeding. So this weeding one time is amazing. So it makes screen printing like such a nice option.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it a lot. Well, thank you so much. I mean, I'm pretty sure everyone knows who you are, but just if anybody wants to find you, just can you let people know where to find you and where all your areas they can go to?
Sure. Yeah. So you can follow me here on Instagram. I have the same handle on TikTok. And I have a YouTube channel. You can look up Pigskins and Pigtails. And then of course I have my website. So pigskinsandpigtails.com is where I have just a whole blog full of tutorials all about screen printing. So if you want to know how to screen print on bags or cookies or flip-flops, like I've done it all. So I have tutorials there if you want to check out and search for anything in particular. Someone asked about wood earlier. I have a tutorial on wood. So yeah.
Yeah, Jen is like the screen printing goddess. I swear, like I always watching her videos and seeing how she's doing these things. So it's awesome. If you want to know anything about screen printing, definitely follow her. Check out her YouTube channel. If you want to know about her class, I mean, you can check it out there. But I've got like a full page of information. So if you want that, just DM me the word screen, and I will send you all that information and how to get in contact with Jen and all of her wealth of information that she has out there. So, okay, so I'm curious. Awesome. I've always wondered this, your Pigskins and Pigtails, is that like your son and daughter, like boys and girls? What is it?
No, so I have two girls. And
you have two girls, okay.
Yeah, so when my girls were little, my husband was a high school football coach in Texas. So every Friday, like I would make them shirts and they would have their pigtails and we would go to his football games to cheer on the team. So that's where it all started. I was making shirts for them to wear to football games because I'm sure like custom, home team football shirts in toddler sizes was not real easy to find back then. And so I was making my own, and then, your kid wears it and then, people ask, where did they get the shirt? And that's just kind of how things start to snowball. So yeah,
that's so fun
back then, but eventually learned how to screen print.
That's I love that story. That's cute. But your daughters are how old now? They're like way bigger.
Yeah, 14 and 12. So
okay,
yeah,
so fun.
They're not into the pigtails or the homemade shirts quite as much.
Oh my gosh, like not at all. My daughter's like, no thanks. She's like, I need a pencil case. I'm like, well, I have some blank pencil case. Want me to put something on it for you?
She's like, sublimate it?
No, Mom. No, I don't want anything on my pencil case. And I'm like, oh, fine.
That's so funny. That's too funny. Yep.
Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I really, really appreciate all your knowledge. It's been awesome. Everybody was so excited that you were coming. They're like, yay, Jen's coming online, Crafty Tuesday. So fun.
Yay. Well, thanks for having me. And I absolutely love your channel. So anybody that doesn't, follow Courtney, then make sure you go follow her account too, because she has some pretty crafty things going on there. And,
I'm trying. Thank you so much. Let's see.
Yeah, everybody reach out to Courtney, because I know we didn't get to all the questions, but I'm going to let them contact you because you've got all that great information coming out.
Okay.
So you guys reach out to Courtney and she'll send you some good info to follow up.
Perfect. Cool. Well, thank you so much, Jen. Let me see. I don't know. Are you able to click off or not?
Yes, I'll close out whenever you're ready.
Okay. Well, I'm going to stay on and just chat a little longer if anybody wants to stay on and chat. And I might go through some of the questions and see if there's anything else that I can answer. But I appreciate you and your time tonight for sure.
Yeah,
if you want to stay on, for sure, stay on. But if you do need to go do some other things, go ahead and do that too.
Okay, why don't we run through and see if there are any questions real quick? I've got a few minutes. So if
okay,
there's
cool.
anything that we missed, but.
Excellent. Let's see. Kind of vintage looking for the shirt. Where could I send a custom piece of artwork to have a one-time screen made for, say, a pillowcase? Huh. I don't know.
Gotta do it yourself, right? We're the DIYers over here.
I know. Oh, how long do you use the heat gun for? It doesn't have to be that long, does it? I mean, just until the ink seems like it's dry?
Yeah, until it feels like it's dry. So you do want to be careful, especially if you have a lighter color shirt, not to burn the shirt. Also done that before. If you heat gun it too long, it will burn.
I've done that before.
Yeah. So, yeah, but really it's just all about trying to dry the ink. So you want to move it around until you feel like it's dry. And again, this is like us speeding up the process. So you don't have to heat gun it. That's just if you're in a huge hurry and you don't have time to wait for it to air dry, then that is definitely a trick that works. But obviously when you heat, you're using your heat gun, you've got to make sure all the areas are completely dry. So you may miss a spot. So if you're worried about that, just let your shirt sit out for a day or two. And that's the safest way to guarantee that you're letting it dry properly. But if you're like us, try the heat gun. If you're in a hurry, you need to give it out tomorrow. It will work.
Oh my gosh. I even used a heat gun one time. I was doing a bleach shirt and I didn't do it outside. So I was trying to see, can you do it just with a heat gun instead of having it out in the sun? And it does work, but I did burn the shirt. I'm like, oh, I did it a little too long in that spot. Like,
yeah. I think we've all learned the hard way on all these things.
Seriously. Let's see, she wants to start making shirts. Any advice for a great platform to use and find designs to use? I personally love Creative Fabrica. I think they have so many great designers that sell stuff on there. So I kind of like Creative Fabrica design bundles, font bundles.
Yeah, those are all good ones.
I have some designs.
There you go.
Do you sell
them on your
files
website
also?
I have a few on my blog, but I started doing that at one point and then decided I don't have time to do all the things. So I have not listed any recently, but I have a few old ones out on the blog.
Okay.
Yeah, I do
started
give away a lot of
into
designs. I have a newsletter and I give away a lot of designs and a whole bunch of tips every week for screen printing. That was another thing I forgot to mention. But if you sign up for my newsletter, if you want to, get a tip of the week, that's where I'm sharing those.
I know, I get your newsletter, so I love your tips. Oh, somebody's following from India. Nice.
Oh,
good
cool.
morning. All right. My vinyl bubbles on the screen. Any suggestions on how to make it stick? It's probably the vinyl, isn't it? The vinyl brand?
Well, so it could be the vinyl brand. Like we said, we were using Oracle 651 or a permanent vinyl. So that is definitely one piece. The other piece was the transfer tape. That makes a big difference. If you use a really sticky transfer tape and you go to pull it off, that's where it pulls up some of the vinyl and then it just doesn't stick back down in the right spot. And then the other thing was checking your screen to make sure it was good and tight. I think you should definitely use something and tighten yours before you do your next project.
Okay.
Just because it needs to be feel like the top of a drum, almost like that tight, or a trampoline where it doesn't really move when you press on it.
Okay. I'll definitely do that. Can you
That will
rhinestone
help with
screen
bubbling.
prints? I think you could rhinestone on top of screen printing, can't you?
Yeah, I've never tried that. Well, how do you attach rhinestones? Do you do that with?
Well, adhesive, I believe.
Okay.
Like maybe like a fabric adhesive. I've never done it on fabric, but I would think maybe a fabric adhesive.
Maybe
I don't
so.
know. I'd
Yeah.
try it. Why not?
Yeah. If it's an adhesive, I would imagine it's going to stick to screen printing ink as much as it would the fabric. So if it sticks to the fabric,
Yeah.
it seems like it would work.
Seems like it would work to me. All right. Well, cool. We start school tomorrow.
Yay.
So our back to school tradition is if we have breakfast for dinner the night before back to school. So we're having breakfast tonight. So I'm going to go make some pancakes for dinner tonight.
Awesome. Look at you. Okay. So one last thing. Take your vinyl off your screen and wash your screen before you make breakfast because
Right now, yes.
you want to get that
it'll
ink
dry,
out,
right?
So.
Okay.
Yes.
I will definitely be doing that, and then I'm going to make another shirt with it too. So maybe I'll wash it now and then make another shirt after.
Yeah, when you're done eating, it'll be dry and you'll be ready to use it again.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah.
Thank you everybody that came tonight. We had a really good time with you, and I'll be back here next week again at 5:30 p.m. for Crafty Tuesday. So until then, stay crafty, all my friends. See you all later.
Awesome.
Bye, Jen. Thanks again.
Love it. Bye.